Over 40 million people open Grammarly every single day, and the pitch behind that number is simple. It makes you a better writer. But there are two very different claims hiding inside that one sentence. A tool can make your writing more correct, and a tool can make you more skilled. Those are not the same thing, and the research treats them very differently. So we put the most popular writing assistant in the world on the bench and asked a narrow, honest question. Does Grammarly build the writer, or just clean up the writing? Start with what it genuinely does well, because this part is real and worth paying for. On the mechanical layer, typos, doubled words, missing apostrophes, basic subject-verb agreement, the comma that clearly belongs or clearly doesn't, a modern checker is fast, tireless, and more consistent than a human eye on a tired afternoon. In a comparative study that ran 500 test sentences across the major grammar tools, Grammarly came out on top, not perfect, but the best of the field. For the surface errors that quietly cost you a job application or make an email look careless, that catch rate is a genuine service. The honest framing is this: as a proofreader for mechanics, it earns its place. The problem starts the moment you ask it to do more than proofread. Here's the first number that should reset your expectations. In that same 500 sentence comparison, the best performing tool, Grammarly, caught about 44% of the planted errors overall. The field leader missed more than half. And it gets narrower as the errors get harder. On sentence structure problems, no tool tested cleared 11%. On semantic errors, meaning the sentence is grammatically fine but says the wrong thing, none cleared 25%. A separate analysis compared Grammarly directly against human editors and found its recall sat around 51%, which means it flagged roughly half of the issues a trained human caught. So the mental model people carry, that a green checkmark means the writing is clean, is simply wrong. A clear Grammarly scan is not a clean piece of writing. It is a piece of writing with the easy mistakes removed. Now the error in the other direction, which matters even more for skilled writers. A reliability study took 10 articles already published in top-tier academic journals, written and edited by expert native English speakers, and ran them through Grammarly. These were, by definition, clean, professional pieces of writing. Grammarly lit them up. It overflagged heavily, generating a long list of false positives, because it could not account for the deliberate, the comma a good writer omits for pace, the fragment used on purpose, the long sentence built to carry a complex idea. The researcher's conclusion was blunt. It is not a reliable tool for assessing academic English. And this is the trap. A weak writer can't tell the real corrections from the false ones, so they accept all of them. Every accepted false positive doesn't fix an error. It sands down a choice. The tool is most confident exactly where it is least trustworthy, on writing that was already good. Push past correctness into style, and a deeper cost appears, one the marketing never mentions. A study presented at a major computing conference in 2025 had 118 writers, split between the United States and India, complete tasks with and without AI writing suggestions. Two findings stand out. The American writers got noticeably larger efficiency gains than the Indian writers. The model was tuned for a Western default. And more revealing, the AI suggestions pulled the Indian participants' prose toward Western norms, changing not just what they wrote but how they wrote it. Quietly homogenizing distinct voices toward a single house style. That is the structural risk with every except all assistant. Optimized for a statistical average of correctness, it nudges everyone toward the same flattened middle. Rhythm, surprise, a sentence that breaks a rule on purpose. The things that make writing yours are precisely what an averaging engine files off. Which brings us to the central question: does leaning on it build your skill or erode it? The cleanest evidence comes from a study of high school writers using an automated writing system, where researchers could isolate exactly what the grammar feedback did. The result? Spelling and grammar feedback on its own had no effect on the quality of a first draft. The corrections fixed the surface, but the writer's actual output didn't improve. Only when feedback was paired with a real revision process did small gains appear, on a handful of subscales like word choice and organization. The lesson is structural. Correction is not instruction. A tool that silently fixes your error teaches you nothing, because you never had to see it, diagnose it, and solve it yourself, and that loop is the entire mechanism by which writing skill is built. Worse, the dependence is measurable. In survey work, a large share of students reported leaning on AI feedback to the point of self-doubt about their own ability. The crutch holds you up. It does not strengthen the leg. And there's the money, and it sharpens the whole decision. The paid tier runs about $12 a month on an annual plan, or $30 if you pay month to month. Call it roughly $150 to $360 a year. That is the price band of a serious tool. And the value question splits cleanly by who you are. If you write high-stakes English in a second language, or you process heavy volume where a 51% catch on mechanics still saves real time, the paid tier can pencil out. But if your writing is already competent, you are paying a premium subscription largely to be told things you already know and to be tempted every day to accept changes that flatten your voice. For most competent writers, the honest math is that the free tier catches the typos that actually matter, and the paid tier mostly sells confidence, not skill. You are renting a second pair of eyes, not buying a better hand. So, does Grammarly make you a better writer? The data lands on a clean split. It makes your writing more correct on the surface, reliably and cheaply. It does not, on its own, make you a more skilled writer, and used carelessly, it can quietly erode both your voice and the practice that builds the skill. So use it like a proofreader, never an editor. Let it fix the things that are objectively wrong and carry no judgment: typos, doubled words, clear subject-verb errors, the obviously missing apostrophe. Accept those without a thought. But treat every suggestion about style, tone, clarity, or sentence structure as an opinion to argue with, not an order, because on those it is wrong almost as often as right, and it cannot hear your voice. And guard the loop that actually makes you better. Before you accept a fix, look long enough to understand why it was flagged, so you stop making the error instead of outsourcing it forever. Run that way, it is a sharp, cheap second pair of eyes. Run on autopilot, it is a subscription that corrects your writing while slowly deleting the writer.